honestly couldn't even count all the day ones that I had before I had a day one that actually stuck. And now, being in sobriety, as I look back at that period of my life when I was trying to quit drinking and just failing, being caught up in that vicious cycle, I definitely see a pattern there. And that's a cool thing about sobriety. It gives you the gift of hindsight. And that's a lot of the reason why I share and make these videos, just things I see as I look back that I didn't see at the time when I was caught up in the midst of all it. I would always try to quit drinking on a Monday because new week, new me. And usually by Wednesday or Thursday, there I was drinking again. And it would kick off a 4 or 5 day bender, and then the vicious cycle would just keep repeating itself. And I remember there was a mindset I would have usually around Wednesday. And it was when I would start having those negotiations with myself, that drunk brain would start speaking. And I would think something like, well, I just went 2 days without alcohol. For someone who truly had a problem with alcohol, I mean, they couldn't go 2 days without it. Or I tell myself something like, oh, well, since we've went without it, we've been healed, we've been cured, we're just going to have a few drinks now because we're a normal drinker. When it was never just a few drinks, because once I had one, I had no control and I couldn't stop. And also I see where it was almost a self-sabotage type of thing. And I feel like this is something that isn't talked about a lot. And I think it stemmed from a place of I was scared of my own success. And it was easier to stick with the devil I knew, which was falling off the wagon after 2 or 3 days. Because going beyond that 2 or 3 days, that was unknown territory. I didn't know. First of all, I didn't believe that I could, so it was easier just to pull the rug out from under me at that day 2 or day 3 and drink rather than get my hopes up and think, oh, maybe I could do this, just to have it squashed at day 4, day 5, day 6. And I think that is something that many of us do that we don't even realize we're doing. I didn't realize that till I was months in sobriety. So all that to say, what got my last day one to stick? That didn't sound right, but the last day one I had, which I'm still counting, I had a plan ahead of time. I went into it knowing more than likely I'm going to fall off, or looking at my track record, I've always fallen off the wagon around day 2, day 3. What am I going to do on day 3 to avoid that? Or how am I going to distract myself? And I put a plan in place. And a big part of that looked like changing up my structure in my routine. And that's something we have to do in early sobriety. Even though it is uncomfortable, it's something we're not used to. It feels lame. It feels forced. We need to try something different, because if we just keep the same structure in the same routine, more than likely we're going to get the same result, which is going to be drinking. It wasn't fun, but it worked. So it looked like being aware, knowing that on day 2, day 3, this is when I normally fall off the wagon, and trying something different. Those two things worked. So if you're falling off the wagon, you're on again, off again, couple days off, there you start again, I'm going to quit drinking, now I'm drinking again. Try something different. Try something that you haven't tried before. And that can look different for many people. But for me, that looked like going for more walks in the evening, cleaning, doing more cooking, just keeping my mind distracted. I would have to avoid just sitting on the couch, because then I would just be sitting in all of it and my thoughts would start racing and I would start obsessing. And that's when all those negotiations would start. And that's when I would always end up drinking. So I knew I needed to avoid the couch at all costs. So don't overcomplicate it. Just find some simple things that you can do in the evening to change up your structure and your routine, distract yourself, and see what happens.